Madam Speaker, I move that Parliament approves that Fiji ratifies the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Do we have a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
And I invite the Honourable Attorney General to speak on his motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a very momentous occasion. For the first time, any Fijian constitution actually included a specific right for persons with disabilities. For the first time, Madam Speaker, we've had the largest amount of money being allocated for persons with disability or organizations and associations. And for the first time last year, Madam Speaker, we started consultations directly for the budget with persons with disabilities. A number of them are here today with us in the gallery. A lot of them you would have seen, Madam Speaker, over the past couple of sessions in Parliament. They have been waiting there quite patiently. And they have been very keen, Madam Speaker, to ensure that this Parliament makes a groundbreaking approach by actually ratifying the United Nations Convention on the rights of the person with disabilities. Madam Speaker, disabled persons have for generations in Fiji, in drips and drabs, sometimes more than other times, and of course not just something peculiar to Fiji, but other parts of the world where persons with disabilities have actually not been treated and have not been accorded the same rights as people who are deemed to be not disabled. It is therefore, Madam Speaker, to show our commitment and the commitment that has been given by the Fijian Constitution that persons with disabilities must also be accorded the same rights. In fact, Madam Speaker, persons with disabilities need to be also taken care of in a lot more significant manner also. It's not just to say that persons with disabilities have the rights. There needs to be practical application of those rights. And the Fijian Constitution, Madam Speaker, is quite specific about that. Madam Speaker, the Convention currently is 160 countries which are signatories to the Convention, with 172 state parties to the Convention. Fiji is a signatory to the Convention and signed the Convention on the 2nd of June 2010, when Cabinet decided that we need to actually sign up to this Convention. Simultaneously, Madam Speaker, we held a number of consultations to develop a bill for Parliament to consider, which will give practical application, not just to the Convention, but in fact the provisions in the Constitution. Madam Speaker, this bill actually is before the committee, and we hope that the committee will present their findings of the bill in the next sitting of Parliament. This is critical, Madam Speaker. A convention, whilst it obligates us on the international forum, it must ensure that it translates into domestic law too. And the only way that can translate into domestic law is by the specific enactment of Parliament of a law that deals specifically with those provisions of the Convention that needs to be translated into the specific local and domestic provisions, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I can very briefly go into the details of the Convention. The Convention has 50 articles. Article defines the purpose of the Convention, which is to promote, protect and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms of all persons with disabilities, and to promote respect for their inherent dignity. I think that is something very, very critical. You know, in the consultation, Madam Speaker, that we've been having, it's very critical that persons with disabilities, they want, first and foremost, to have maintained a sense of dignity. And we as all human beings must respect that and must ensure that that happens. Just because a person is in a wheelchair, just because a person is blind, we should not somehow or the other put them to the back of the room or forget about them. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister is very insistent. When the Fijian Constitution, the 2013 Constitution, was, when we held consultations, we drafted it, and it was finally formalized and sent it to by His Excellency the then President, he said we must have it translated into the Braille language. We have very few constitutions in the world, Madam Speaker, where the Constitution is actually translated into the Braille language. So far, the Fijian Constitution has been translated into the Braille language, in the English Braille, and the Itaukei Braille. And it's available. We gave a number of copies to the Fiji Society of Blind, and it's available there for people to read, Madam Speaker. Articles 2 and 3 provide definitions and general principles such as defining the terms, communications, language discrimination on the basis of disability, reasonable accommodation and universal design. But Speaker, as we've said, we need to now, and FRA is already doing that, when we now build new footpaths, we need to ensure that they have all ramps. So a person on a wheelchair, when they want to cross the road, at the moment if you go to all the footpaths, they don't have the ramps. Simple decline. But they have a lot of problems actually crossing the road. Now that people like us who actually aren't on wheelchairs, we take that for granted. For them, crossing the road becomes a chore in itself, a momentous chore. Madam Speaker, Article 4 to 31 define the rights of persons with disabilities and the obligation of state parties towards these rights. Many of these rights, Madam Speaker, also mirror rights reaffirmed in other international conventions to which Fiji is a party to, such as the Convention Against Torture, but with specific obligations in order to ensure that these rights are fully realized by persons with disabilities. Articles 32 to 39, Madam Speaker, of the Convention governs the reporting and monitoring of the Convention by national human rights institutions and implementation steps taken by the state party, which in this case is Fiji. These articles, Madam Speaker, also establish a committee on the rights of persons with disabilities. Further, each state party must submit a comprehensive report on the measures taken to give effect of its obligations under the Convention and on the progress made within that regard within 2 years after ratification and thereafter after 4 years. So essentially, Madam Speaker, if Parliament today approves that we ratify the Convention, within 2 years we must file a report to the committee. Of course, the various NGO organizations, they'll also be able to give their input into this report that will be filed before the committee and thereafter every 4 years. Madam Speaker, the Articles 40 to 50 of the Convention govern the ratification, the entry into force and amendment of the Convention itself. Madam Speaker, just to very quickly highlight, to put into perspective, the Fijian Constitution, Section 42 of the Fijian Constitution, Madam Speaker, guarantees the rights of persons with disabilities for the first time, as I've said, under Section 42(1) of the Constitution, Madam Speaker. A person with disability has the right to reasonable access to all places, public transport and information. And we have to do a lot of that. In fact, it's very interesting, only today we came to know that if you go to the website of the Fijian Elections Office, if you click on the left-hand corner, on the right-hand corner of the website, and you can only do this at the moment from personal computers, not from your phone apps. But if you go there through your PC, you actually click on that, you have actually whatever area you want, you're focused on, you click on that, a voice will come and actually read it out to you. So this is also for persons who may not be able to see well, or persons who may not be able to read well. They can actually now have voice-activated website of the Fijian Elections Office. So a number of changes are taking place, Madam Speaker. Again, like I said about footpaths, and also now town and country planning, various municipal councils will now be obligated to ensure that any future buildings, in particular public buildings, where you'll have members of the public having access to, there must at least be a ramp. So if I'm going off and I'm on a wheelchair and I'm crutches or maybe blind, if there are any rails, so at least I can access those places because they are built to be able to cater for persons who have these specific requirements. They have the right, of course, Madam Speaker, to use sign language, braille or other appropriate means of communication, and to reasonable access to necessary material, substances and devices relating to persons with disabilities. As you know, Madam Speaker, whilst VAT now is applicable across the board, the one set of products in Fiji where there's no VAT applicable is devices that are related to disabilities. So if you bring in wheelchairs, if you bring in crutches, if you bring in other products, then there's no VAT applicable on that. The government has already started doing that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, of course, it was very interesting in the consultations last Friday. We had a number of discussions with the group regarding how there's not that many people with sign language, and how, in fact, the Honourable Prime Minister was saying how we should start getting the news to have sign language, and some countries have already started doing that. For at least an hour, you can have people doing sign language whilst the news is on the screen or on television, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, under Section 42, subsection 2 of the Fijian Constitution, a person with any disability has the right to reasonable adaptation of buildings, infrastructure, vehicles, working arrangements, rules, practices and procedures to enable the participation of society in the effective realization of those rights, Madam Speaker. The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill, Madam Speaker, I don't want to dwell on that, because that will come before Parliament hopefully next week, Madam Speaker, in the next sitting, and we can discuss that too, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we also made an amendment, you may recall, in 2015 to the Land Transport Public Service Vehicles Regulations that now ensures that PSV drivers must not refuse to carry in the vehicle any person with a disability. In the consultations we had, Madam Speaker, we received a lot of complaints that sometimes the public service vehicle drivers, the bus drivers, the minibus drivers, some taxis were refusing to take people with disabilities. So now, Madam Speaker, it is actually mandatory for them to do so. The public service vehicle drivers must take reasonable steps to assist persons with physical disabilities when boarding and disembarking the vehicle. So they're obligated to provide some assistance, in particular if they're on their own, and ensure that the vehicle is disability friendly. Many of them, of course, are not. Many buses, as Honourable Pramod Chand will tell you, are not. So we need to work towards that as to how we can get that done, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, of course, we have the national policy on persons living with disabilities. And, Madam Speaker, we also have in place a number of community-based consultation sessions that we've been holding to ensure that people do have access and are able to have the input. Last but not least, of course, Madam Speaker, in the budget that was announced last year, we give a 300% tax deduction. So persons, for example, we heard a submission last year in the budget consultations, that there are a couple of people in Lautoka who were in fact being employed by a printing company, where this person who could not speak, he actually used sign language, but it was not required for him to speak, for him to carry out the job. So even because he was disabled, they weren't necessarily paying the right worker rates. When he wanted to get sick leave, they said, we're not going to pay you for your sick leave, they won't give you annual leave. As a result of that, Madam Speaker, we brought about the amendments, the tax reforms. So if an employer now, if they employ a person with disability, they can get a 300% tax deduction. So whatever amount of money they do pay them, they can claim that as an expense to the tune of 300%. They must at least employ the person for 3 years, and that, of course, incentivizes people to recruit them. Because, Madam Speaker, one of the things personally that I've also found, that many persons with disabilities have a fantastic level of intellect, a fantastic level of ability to contribute, whether they're good with their hands, whether they're good with their feet, whatever they may be, Madam Speaker, but they are very productive members of our society. Unfortunately, we have also, Madam Speaker, neglected them. We are also very happy, Madam Speaker, that amongst us today we have our Assistant Minister, Honourable Ilyas Dahana, who not only won the first gold medal, but Madam Speaker, is an Assistant Minister. This would have been completely unheard of. There are many people who used to make fun of people like that as if they had no contribution. So we must ensure, Madam Speaker, that we are able to not just ratify the convention, and I'm sure both sides of the House will support the ratification of this convention. I'm sure they would. But, Madam Speaker, it is the change in our attitude, the change in our value system. Of course, government has to do its part as far as public areas are concerned, but overall, as a society, as a country, we need to ensure that we include persons with disability into the mainstream of society. Madam Speaker, I also like to take this opportunity to inform the Parliament too, with the concurrence of the Prime Minister, and Fiji has one of the very high rates of albinism, very high rate. So as a result of that, we had a request from the Special Rapporteur on albinism, and we have already sent our invitation, and we hope that this year the Special Rapporteur on the protection of the rights of people with albinism will be able to come to Fiji too. This is all part and parcel of what we are doing, Madam Speaker, and to be able to take a holistic approach to bring those people for decades who have been left on the margins of our society, to bring them into the inner circle. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I invite comments from the floor, if any. I give the floor to the Honourable Pramod Chand.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Attorney General for his motion. I do stand in support of the motion, And as I do support the motion, I would want to say that as the president of the Fiji Bus Operators Association, the bus industry in Fiji provides free transport to all disabled people that are listed with the Social Welfare Department. We subsidize this, Mr. Prime Minister, Honorable. Madam Speaker, we do understand to bring about this convention to fruition, it's very important to note some points first of all, when we are going to do this, physical infrastructure needs to be tuned to accustom to allow these people to go, and I believe the Attorney General has spoken on that, like buildings, footpaths, roads, transport facilities, all these have to be made to comply with this convention. And it is very important. There has to be a transition period. I'm not going to be too long. I'll be brief because I know we'll have an opportunity on the bill when the bill comes in. But I want to just, I would like to declare my interest because I'm a bus operator. I want to speak something on the bus industry. In Fiji, we have almost 2,000 buses. And as I already have alluded to, that we provide free transport to all the disabled people in Fiji. And I believe there is no other place where our disabled people have any benefit like that. And it is at free cost, at the cost of the bus operators in Fiji. So I believe the bus operators are also giving back to our people that really need this help. One of the things that will come in is if we do have to change those 2,000 buses into complying with this need, then it could become very difficult because we as an industry, the bus industry, is a very heavily regulated industry. And for the last 7 years, we haven't had bus fare increase, although because of fuel prices and other things, the government was kind enough to give us the VAT zero rated on VAT, which is a good thing that has happened for the bus industry. And we also see the bus companies in Fiji are modernizing their bus fleets to come into the system where we can provide better services to the people of Fiji and services on time. So this will be very, very important for us. Like I said, we contribute a lot to the economy. We contribute a lot to our poor people, our disabled people. We, as bus operators in Fiji, we give 50% discount on senior citizens traveling. That is only 50% bus fare. School children pay only 50% bus fare, and that 50%, the second part, I believe the government is paying. So we, as an industry, would like to see that things move into a better way, and it's not government, it's the contribution of the bus industry, Honorable Minister. That you must remember. It comes from our pocket. We subsidize them. So the government should thank the bus industry for subsidizing the senior citizens, 50% bus fare, school children, 50% bus fare, disabled, free of charge. And I would like to see that in Fiji Airways, that Fiji Airways should give that free of charge. They make a big profit, and it will be really good. And we have an inclusive government, and the government is very happy about helping people and giving its share to the people. So why don't you make, I would love to see the Attorney General announce it tomorrow, that in Fiji Airways, all the disabled people registered with the social welfare will get free traveling on the planes of Fiji Airways. That would be very interesting, and it will be very encouraging to our people. So, Madam Speaker, I would love to support this bill. We love our disabled people, and I believe they need to be treated with dignity. And we, the bus operators, were the first to start this. And we would like the rest of the people to follow suit and help our disabled people in Fiji. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I'd first like to congratulate the bus operators for the great initiative that they've taken in terms of giving free transport to people with disabilities. I know the Honourable AG has already spoken on public transport in terms of the taxis that are also taking people with disabilities on board. Just a few points, Madam Speaker. In terms of visually impaired people, using voice control, you said that the Elections Office is using that. What about apps such as Instagram? They have on-screen text and command real voices to enable the users to use the services. So that is one, perhaps the government might be able to give a tax waiver. On apps, we have more autism coming up in the country. Perhaps iPads and other tablets that assists these children with autism to practice eye and hand coordination. So that's something that is going to be more in need for that. In terms of affordable housing, Madam Speaker, people with special needs, they should be assisted to, Madam Speaker, to be able to rent decent, safe and sanitary housing. And on affordable health care, Madam Speaker, the rates of disability is increasing due to population aging and increase in chronic health conditions. And people with disabilities, Madam Speaker, they have less access. Those who are able-bodied, they don't realize the needs that people with disabilities have. And it's good that we have the representatives here in Parliament. Then we are seeing them on a daily basis and bringing their consideration into the House. These people with disabilities, Madam Speaker, have less access to healthcare services and therefore experience more unmet healthcare needs. For example, Madam Speaker, people with women with disabilities receive less screening for breast and cervical cancer, and men receive less screening for prostate cancer, and then those that are without disabilities. So those are some of the current issues that are affecting able-bodied people, and more so with people with disabilities. And Madam Speaker, lastly, on decent employment, this came up in the Tibet Times poll, in which the highest item that is of concern is 32% of those polled that are looking for decent employment, Madam Speaker. So the law should forbid discrimination when it comes to any aspect of employment, including hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, etc. It is not easy, Madam Speaker, because they have more needs, but they are human just the same as us and need to be considered as having equal rights as we do. Madam Speaker, AG alluded to the funding for the 2016 to 2017 budget. That is good, but we hope you make the allocation more timely, sir, rather than allocating last week for them to utilize it before the end of June. They have disabilities, Madam Speaker, so it takes longer for them to utilize their budgetary allocation. So I hope in supporting this motion, Madam Speaker, that this ratification ensures proper annual budgetary allocation rather than just cosmetic exercise for just this year. We hope that it will be a yearly exercise for them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Mulitabu.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, from the outset, I would like to say that this side of the House, we support the motion that Fiji ratifies this motion without reservation. That is the first put across. And given that we have obligations under the convention, probably the government will make domestic changes to realign its domestic legislations with the convention. And with that, Madam Speaker, government, the responsibility that comes from Section 42 of the Constitution, I think probably the implementation of the what's listed in Section 42, all the measures must be put in place. And with that, Madam Speaker, I think the whole Parliament, if you go to Veuto, it was already accommodative to persons with disability. It had wheelchair ramps and all that, Madam Speaker. Probably this is an idea that was already there, and probably I think that this time we come to realize the importance of this particular convention. The other thing, Madam Speaker, is for government to consider after ratification a particular ministry that should accommodate a portfolio that will look after people, persons of disability. That will be very important. And secondly, there has to be establishment of focal points in regards to our Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission, plus the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. These focal points, Madam Speaker, must engage with government, equally important with the disability persons associations. These are very important in the review and formulation of policies and legislation to give effect to the convention. The other thing, Madam Speaker, that there needs to be an establishment of a framework to implement the convention. And the government should review the existing national policy on persons living with disabilities in 2008 and 2018 through appropriate ministry to ensure that the framework is fully aligned with the convention, Madam. Given the national framework, I think there has to be a proper collection of disaggregated data which will enable reporting, as the Honourable Attorney General had alluded to. I think Fiji will have to report after 2 years, and following ratification every 4 years thereafter, in an inclusive, consultative and transparent manner. I think the proper framework has to be put in place to allow this particular convention to fulfill its desired outcomes, Madam Speaker. With that, Madam Speaker, as I've said, that this side of the House, we accept ratification without any reservations, and hope that the domestication of this particular convention will be carried out to allow the full realization of Section 42 of the Constitution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the Honourable Minister for Labour.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just rise to support the motion that's before the House, the motion that we ratify the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And I think the fact that we're standing here and we seem to be unanimous in our feeling and thinking about this motion will bring to light some of the things that are in the Constitution. The Honourable Attorney General has talked about Section 42 and the rights that it has there, and we're bringing to light those rights. We also, in the preamble of the Constitution, we notice here that one of the lines there says that we commit ourselves to the recognition and protection of human rights and respect for human dignity. And what we're doing here is we're actually doing this as we ratify this convention. It has always been the vision of the government to build a better Fiji for everybody. Those that have all the faculties that God designed them to have, and those that may not have all of those things. So through the ratification of this, there will be progress toward this. And as we think about persons with disabilities, we should not just limit it just to physical disabilities, but it's also people with mental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, sensory impairments. All of those different kinds of people will need to be covered. It will also include women with disabilities and children with disabilities and older persons with disabilities. Ratifying this convention also means that we as a country are offering ourselves up for inspection, so that others can come and see what we have done about the people in our country that do not have all the things that God desired them to have. So, as has been already mentioned, it will require a need to amend laws and policies to provide funding. We've talked about the development of frameworks and so forth. But I think one of the important things that we need to consider is that all of us, whether we're employers or we're members of community, we also need to think about what we can do to make sure that we can demonstrate what we're doing for those that are challenged. I appreciate the comment that has been made by the bus owners, but I think it's not just enough to make sure that we can have the people with disabilities get onto public transport for free. One of the important things that we need, and this is related also to SDG 8, which talks about the need for economic growth and decent work. We need to provide decent work opportunities for those that are disabled. And that, I think, is a challenge for all employers. Under the Employment Relations Act, there is a provision there that suggests that all employers should consider allocating a portion of their workforce to those that are challenged, those that are disabled. So we also encourage all employers in Fiji to consider that. Can you set aside a portion of your workforce and dedicate it to those that have these challenges so that they can do something for their own lives and can have a sustainable future into the future? That, Madam Speaker, as I said, I fully support the motion that is before the House.
Thank you. Honorable Saladin Honorable. Honorable Saladin Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also echo the support to support the ratification of this convention. Just 2 points that I'd like to highlight in terms of the implementation of the CRPD. It calls for a high level of commitment, particularly so with all our key stakeholders in terms of the transport, the building owners, the employers, and it requires a very well-coordinated and concerted effort, particularly so in terms of the resources, and also in terms of harmonizing existing legislation with our local legislation on the bill that may come up in future. And also, Madam Speaker, in terms of that Fiji should ratify the CRPD without any reservation, and this should also be reflected in our local legislation, particularly so in terms of the reporting clause, in that we have to comply with, as alluded to by the Honorable Attorney General, that we are to report 2 years after ratification and 4 years thereafter, because in that the reporting clause must be reflected in our local legislation, because that is it will monitor our compliance with the CRPD requirements. And also, Madam Speaker, we look forward to the localization of the CRPD into our own legislation, which we trust will include all the clauses under the CRPD, and also call on the government to ensure that adequate resources and harmonization of existing legislations that will sort of involve all the stakeholders to ensure the effective implementation of the CRPD. And on that note, Madam Speaker, we look forward, and as the saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we look forward to the local legislation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, and I give the floor to the Honorable Nawekula.
Madam Speaker, in my short contribution, I wish to acknowledge most sincerely the efforts of the Fiji Disabled People Association in the advocacy that has resulted in this. This association, I must say, Madam Speaker, is much unlike ours, most, because it's very, very active within the whole country. They had seminars and programs even in Lamphasa and even rural areas, and even in my villages, and that shows the extent of the work that they put into this. And I'm sure that this motion is also a result of the advocacy. Not only locally, they are also very active even in the international level. I can remember that we shared a table together with a representative in New York in the permanent forum some years ago. So for that, and I know as well that there's also a legislation that will follow or will complement this, and surely this is a result of their work, of their effort and their hard work in fighting for and advocating the rights of disabled people. Thank you.
Thank you, and I give the floor to the Honorable Netani Rika.
Madam Speaker, let me make my contribution to the convention. The convention features 8 general principles which underpins all the rights contained within disability conventions. They are: 1, respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices; 2, non-discrimination; 3, full and effective participation and inclusive in society. 5, equality of opportunity. 6, accessibility. 7, equality between men and women. 8, respect for the involving capacities of children with disabilities to preserve their identities. Madam Speaker, this convention facilitates the empowerment of people with disability. And Madam Speaker, I thank you for the disabled group with us this afternoon for their being here with us from the morning until now, and we thank them for that. Madam Speaker, to ratify this convention, it is a way forward for Fiji. And I greatly appreciate the government for taking the initiative for Parliament to approve that Fiji ratify the convention. And Madam Speaker, I fully support the ratification of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no other input, I now invite the Honourable Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Public Enterprises, Civil Service and Communications to have his right of way to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I introduced the motion, I would have heard, Madam Speaker, I did not make any politically motivated statements. I did not do an us and them. Unfortunately, it kind of deteriorated by Honourable Chan's contribution. The fact of the matter, Madam Speaker, is, and I have to say this unfortunately, the Fiji Bus Operators Association only started taking on this initiative after we insisted it be put into the agreement. He knows that. Only after government said the Bus Operators Association, all bus operators no longer have to pay VAT, you can keep the VAT component. That's when they put it into the agreement. That's when we insisted to go into the agreement. He knows that. So, Madam Speaker, I think it's very rich to come and make those kind of stands here when the entire focus was actually on the convention itself. That's not correct, because disabled people have been around in Fiji for a long time. Similarly with Honourable Nawakula. He's trying to take some kind of credit away or not recognize the fact that it was this government, the Bainimarama government, firstly decided that we need to ratify the convention. It was this the government that said we need to ratify the convention. The convention has been there for a long time. How come the previous governments did not do it? The Disabled Association has been there for a long time. How come they did not listen to them then? Because they didn't. That's the reality. So let's not try and obfuscate the issues. We're here to discuss the actual convention itself and the merits or the demerits of it. Not to score political points or try and outdo each other. But unfortunately they've raised it, so I'm trying to address them, because the people need to know the facts. Similarly, Madam Speaker, the reason why the Honourable Minister Bala introduced these regulations in the LTA, because we did get complaints from the disabled persons that the bus drivers weren't treating them well. And this is why, for example, Madam Speaker, the regulations were amended by Honourable Bala in June 2016 to say that the first person with disabilities must be given first priority when boarding an omnibus, which is a bus as we call it, minibus or carrier. Subsection 5, persons with disabilities must be allowed to sit in the first 2 rows of seats in an omnibus or in the seats closest to the driver in the vehicle. We had to do it because it was not being done. Similarly, we had a regulation that was put in, Madam Speaker, to allow, for example, disabled people to bring in any sort of animal. Generally, some blind people, they have dogs, the guide dogs. So they should be allowed to be brought in. Some taxi drivers were refusing to put disabled persons' chairs in the boot. It's a fact. And we actually made an agreement with them to do it. We are the ones who put an agreement with the Fiji Taxi Association also. So, Madam Speaker, the reality is, yes, the compliance with making sure that public service vehicles do become standardized and compliant and be user-friendly for disabled persons, it will take some time. And there is provisions in the bill that should allow for transitional phase. In the same way, Madam Speaker, not all footpaths overnight can have a ramp. There will be a transitional phase. In many countries, there are replete examples of how other countries went through a transitional stage. But anything new that is built, Madam Speaker, will have to have compliance. So, Madam Speaker, again, somebody said, don't do cosmetic exercise. Alright, this is not cosmetic exercise. It is actual practical issue. The translation of the Constitution in Braille is actually a practical issue. What we are doing in respect of the bill itself is a practical issue. If it's given the legal enforcement, it is therefore enforceable against the state. Section 42 of the Constitution gives persons with disabilities the right. They give them the right to sue the government if we don't comply with it. It gives them the right to go to the Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission and take us to task if we don't comply with it. That is the practical application. It is not cosmetic. Please, let's not get into those kind of spaces where we should not be. I agree with the Honourable Leader of Opposition. Disbursements must also be given out much quicker. We need to improve on the efficiency. But as I highlighted the other day to the Parliament, sometimes disbursements are held back because of non-accountability by those organizations receiving the grant. There is one particular disabled association where there is a police case because monies have gone missing. So we simply cannot go and put money into that association if there is no accountability with the finances. We have suggested to the disabled associations last Friday when we met with them, if they had an umbrella body, a much bigger umbrella body, with the different groupings, but they had one financial controller, one administrator, one or two, it makes it a lot easier for them. At the moment, all of them have to have those accountabilities. If they had one association, it would probably make it easier. So, Madam Speaker, from a practical perspective, we are at the moment procuring a bus for disabled persons in the Western Division. The LPA has already been issued for them to have a bus because we received a complaint that disabled persons from Tavua, Rakiraki, Mba, Lotoka, Nandi weren't able to be transported to Lotoka for various activities. We are currently, by the generosity of FSC, they've given us a building as announced in the budget. It's all now being retrofitted to ensure that they can actually access that building. So all of that work is being done. Yes, there are certain areas, of course, we can speed up. We accept that. Everybody accepts that. But the fact of the matter is, Madam Speaker, it has started. The fact of the matter is that it is in our Constitution. The fact of the matter is that we hopefully will pass a law in the next sitting of Parliament that will give further rights and give them meat to the substance. So, Madam Speaker, I again would like to urge Parliament to let's please vote to have this convention ratified. I'm sure and I hope that we'll get a unanimous decision on this, and that we look forward to working with all the various organizations and improving the quality of the lives of the disabled persons, their dignity, but also for us as a society, as an economy, to tap into what they have to offer to us too, and we can learn a lot from them too. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Parliament will now vote. The question is that Parliament approves that Fiji ratifies the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Does any member oppose the motion? There being no opposition, motion is agreed to.